Hey, Scott Jordan here, and we have some other people with us as well for Jancast number 119 or 119 for March 10th, 2022. And wait a second, is this our new host? Mark and I are retiring. This is official now. Steve Devito, our own Steven Devito, who's our business development specialist, is joining us because we're going back to business, baby.
Hey, Scott. Hey, Mark. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing great, and great to have you on. And by the way, let's offer you a congratulations for having gone through the kind of high-level certified custodial technician program through the ISSA's Cleaning Management Institute. And I know you went through that at both the basic and the advanced level, which was probably not easy because these are not thin books.
Yeah.
How was that
absolutely.
Test? How did you like that test?
I appreciate it. The opportunity actually just to grow some knowledge, get a little bit of review, but also to really kind of dive into some of the things that they talked about on the test. It was a lot of work. You put in about a good couple hours, that's for sure. And I think I learned a lot and took away a lot from it. So that was great. Yeah.
Well, I think one of the more interesting things about a curriculum like this is it's really not so much about products. It's really about the pain points of the frontline workers themselves, and it gets into things like what's considered to be a best practice. Is it being the most effective way and to be the most efficient way? I mean, essentially anybody can clean given enough time. But when it comes down to professionals, they need to know what is the step-by-step sequence that's considered by the world to be the most efficient way to be effective. And that puts folks like us in a position to actually help people along the lines of identifying their deficiencies and figuring out what we might have as solutions to that. So it's a different approach. It's a little consultative if you think about it, but congratulations, Steve.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
They're real important nowadays. We've been talking about it for numerous shows about the fact that training is super critical now because a lot of the people that are, we know what the unemployment rate is. It's getting very difficult to find people for almost every position. So training is super critical because a lot of people that were laid off when the whole COVID thing started, they're not necessarily coming back to that same job. So you have a whole bunch of new employees that have to kind of figure out how to do stuff, right?
Well, the only problem with training is it's got such supply chain disruptions. It's hard to get training. Not.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So Steve can take his certification and go out into the field and really do some great stuff out there.
Well, the nice piece too is that it's from the ISSA and it's not from a certified chemical company. It's from the ISSA. So that was one thing that I take away from it as well too.
Yeah. So there's not the blatant product promotion of like
Correct.
Our products mixed in there,
right?
Which is a good thing because you've got to be unbiased on that end of it.
Well, for a year now, we've been talking about how the new expectations of people is a level of extreme cleanliness, trademark.
Yep.
And, the idea of when somebody's trying to reach that level is they need to have somebody come in and help them do somewhat of a cleanliness audit of where they are. Like, where am I right now? And then I need to identify what some of the deficiencies are that are holding me back from getting a high score, and then figure out how to overcome those deficiencies so that over time I can show my boss or the owner, an increase in performance with a return on investment for this kind of thing. And that's what that curriculum is all about, where the Bullens companies and other suppliers of equipment and so on come into play. Is they help people become more efficient at being effective because of high performance products or equipment. But it's one piece of the big picture of the pain point of the people that are actually doing the cleaning. And, that's what this kind of dives into. And I know, Steve, you're looking forward to doing a lot more cleanliness audits and developing metrics and giving people some advice on how to improve that.
Yeah, I was just going to add too that, I have a lot of conversation out there in the field with, everybody's baseline is somewhat different, and everybody's cleanliness expectation is somewhat different. So you do spend a lot of time finding how the customer wants to go from one step to the other. So that is one piece that we take a lot away from that when we do these audits out there, is how do we grow or move forward to get to that next level of cleanliness too.
Yeah. That's good. We used to have a talk all the time about, people would say, I want my floors to look like Walmart. I said, well, okay, are you prepared to, right? I mean,
Right.
Are you prepared to do what they do to get their floors looking like Walmart? And most people go, well, I didn't realize that's what they do. Maybe not. They can't afford to do it. Yeah.
It's so true. And then, part of it is on the other end, where they're feeling the squeeze, is they don't have the resources if they wanted to. Like, suppose they really desire to do it, but look, I that would take me 20 people and I only got 10.
Right.
How am I going to go after this? Well, all right, let's take a look at your equipment and your chemical package and see if we can get some increased efficiencies out of that, so you can get the outcome of 20 people from only 10. By using high productive equipment and high production chemistry. So that's kind of the idea.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, it's a trend that we've continued here. This is what we would consider back to business number 12. And for those of you that have been following our Sunday Sales Blast or subscribed to the Sunday Sales Blast, every Sunday for like the last 10 years or so, we've been putting out the industry-related newsletter, again, called the Sunday Sales Blast. And we've been counting the numbers up as we put out a new one. Last week's we did number 11. So now we're at number 12, but we're trying to really kind of get people geared up for the fact that the world's changing, fortunately, finally, with, hey, we don't have any masks on, right? Remember back in the day, we had 6 or 7 different masks, and so both of you guys have been out making end user calls and sales meetings, and how's it going out there?
I mean, I can speak for myself. I've definitely seen kind of more activity. I've also kind of seen more of a sigh or a breath taken, that we're not kind of interacting with more of the masks and the hand sanitizer and things of that nature. And coming up this summer, we're starting to see more of going back to our floor care, whether it be carpet or hard floor care, and just kind of doing some of those deep clean items that they might not have gotten to because they've been dealing with masks and hand sanitizer and so many types of COVID related things. So it's fresh and good to see that, you're starting to see people get back to more of a routine to maintain their facility to a high level of clean rather than just reacting. So,
And Mark, you were out, did a sales meeting, what was it, week before last, right?
Yeah, one of the comments that was really impactful to me was comments that were made by the folks in that meeting about how refreshing it was to actually get back to having a live sales meeting where there's some interaction and opportunity to look at samples and play with things on the desktop and all the things that just kind of make this industry so special to begin with, and things that you don't actually get to enjoy when you're doing a virtual discussion with someone. So, we were able to put things in their hands and play with desktop kind of demos, and they loved it. And their comments were they're just thrilled that they're able to get back out and see customers who are now much more welcoming to seeing a live person. And I mean, a year ago, we were all in lockdown. I mean, everybody wanted to wear a bubble. So, so everybody, I think, is really enjoying the fact that that's changed so much.
It's an interesting mindset now that after all this time of wearing a mask. I was just saying to these guys earlier, I went into Wawa, which is our local kind of fast food place when you get gas and everything else, and they had a sign up on the door saying, wear your mask. And I go inside and nobody's wearing a mask, not even the employees. It's like, well, I guess the message, they didn't take the sign down, but it was kind of like, do I wear a mask? I actually went back to the car and got my mask and then walked into the store and nobody was wearing a mask. It was like, oh, okay. I mean, it's kind of like I'm not sure I feel comfortable with that or not, but it's getting used to it. But yeah, I mean, it's a different world.
So I saw a cartoon the other day that said that there is a possibility that there are folks out there that have already been highly immunized against any disease known to man. And I was like, what? So I look at the cartoon, and it's a picture of somebody using one of those cloth roll hand towels that used to roll up, and it was always damp, and you're wiping your hands with something somebody else wiped their hands on. I said, if you ever used one of these, you're probably immune to anything the world could throw at you.
Well, yeah. I forgot about that.
Away from all those.
I haven't seen one of those in a long time.
Yeah, so it kind of brought back memories, but now you think about the way the mentality is now. I think people would run away from those things if you saw it. Like, oh my gosh, like reusing towels on a loop, but it was kind of comical. It made me think that was kind of an appropriate cartoon for this time of the world.
Yeah. Well, it's another day, and Mark, I think you found some interesting news that's coming. Seasons are changing, right?
Yes, there's no longer 4 seasons.
Yeah.
And if you're in the northern half of the United States, we're in the Northeast. We have 12 seasons, by the way, Steve, just in case you were wondering. So there is, of course, winter. And then there's that jab called Fool's Spring.
That's right.
That's like, oh, wow. Hey, it looks like winter's over. And then
we had that. Yeah, we had that yesterday when it was 75 degrees, right?
And then you get hit with second winter.
That's right.
And it's like, all right, deep freeze again. All the hoses are frozen, falling down the steps
tomorrow. Yes.
And then you get the 4th season, the spring of deception. That was, I think, maybe what we felt, it was like, is it spring or is it not? And then it goes from that into, you guessed it, the 3rd winter. All right, now it's cold again. It's ice cold. You got to wear your coats, your mittens, and your hats. And
then last chance to sell your ice millet. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. It goes from that into what's called the pollinating. So that's when you first come out and you say, what's all this dust on my car? And the pollinating is the start of, you guessed it, season 6, actual spring. Now, actual spring definitely feeds into summer, but summer becomes much more than that. It actually becomes hell's front porch. Like, I wanted it hotter, but this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then it goes from that into what we thought was fall, but it's actually false fall. Because right after that false fall, we get that second summer.
Oh, I love
like,
that.
oh yeah, let's go wash the car.
Yeah, it's not over yet.
That into the actual fall, which is when everything gets cold and the leaves are down and we're done raking, and goes from that into winter. 12 seasons.
Yeah. Okay. plenty of chances to sell that ice melt.
I love that. It was shared with me by a friend at the ISSA.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to put a date on this particular one, we said what the date is, March 10th, but I mean, we're going through some really serious times now. And Mark, I thought you found a really unique news clip that I thought was a nice one that we could share out there with the people to kind of close off this week's Jancast.
Yeah, it touched me. It was a picture of everybody trying to exit the Ukraine from the invasion from Russia. And as they were entering Poland, there was a gentleman there wearing fingerless gloves and a hat and a beanie and a winter coat, playing a piano. And he was playing like Beethoven and Bach and, very symphonic, mellow music. And these folks that have gone through so much stress and turmoil were entering into Poland. And this gentleman was just playing in candlelight, and so it was like, wow, that's so unusual. And so the reporters interviewed the gentleman and said, what's this about? What are you doing? And he said, I'm not a good shooter. I'm not a soldier. What I do well is I play the piano. So I am going to put my talent towards helping others, and maybe I can put them at ease and make them feel better.
Yeah.
And it really touched me because, all of us have talents. They aren't necessarily being a shooter or a soldier, but we have talents in other areas. And so, Scott, what I was mentioning today is, what do we do really well? Well, we are really, really good at helping people stay clean and healthy and do the right things from a disinfection standpoint. And that's what we should be doing. That's how we can help others, by doing what we really do well. And that was my takeaway from watching The Piano Man.
Yeah.
That was in there, and it touched me. So thank you for letting me share that.
Well, and the impressive thing is he towed that piano behind a bicycle, which is crazy just to think about it. And he painted a peace symbol on his piano as well. So I'll put a shot of the clip of the picture and the link to the article if people want to see it below the Jancast feed that we'll be posting up. Well, Steve, thanks for joining us very much. I'm glad you're going to take over Jancast. It's you do it every 2 weeks. Let Mark and I know how it's going. And
well, I appreciate it, Scott and Mark. It's been fun. So
yeah, good to have you back with the sales force here at Bullen, and we'll put a link below the Jancast video if people want to get in touch with you. The business development specialist means that you cover the whole territory of the United States, maybe beyond. But you can go wherever, talk to people wherever. So
that's correct.
If you want to get in touch with Steve, we'll give you the information on how to do that.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot for tuning in, everybody, and stay safe and watch out for which spring's coming next. The pollen spring.
After pollinating comes the real spring.
Let's hope it's getting close. Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
See y'all.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.